Hi, friends, and welcome to Self Made Soul, a podcast where we discuss how to discover what sets your soul on fire and modern ways to integrate spirituality into your daily life. My name is Juliana, and today I'm going to be talking about the lessons that I learned in 2024, just overall lessons from this year. I'm also going to look into my vision board and see how many of those things I accomplished because that's always exciting, I feel like, to see, like, oh, what did I get to do? So I also want to just give a little quick apology about the long wait in between episodes. I like crazy time of year. I'm filming this on December 2nd, and I just got back from California with my family for Thanksgiving yesterday, and then I move in 5 days. And you don't even want to know all the stuff I have left to do. It's not good. But anyways, let's just hop right into it. So starting off with my vision board. So I took a picture of it. I'm going to hold it up to the camera um, just so you can see. But other than that, I'm going to be describing it to you so you can kind of get an idea if you're just listening to this. Here it is. I feel like it's kind of hard to see some of that, but it's fine. We'll get into it. So, for my 2024 vision board, the first thing I had was a picture of the Eiffel Tower. And granted, maybe this is cheating, but when I made my vision board in December of 2023, I already knew I was going to go to France. So, that was whatever. But I will say the Eiffel Tower was on my vision board the prior year. So, regardless, this has been something that I've been wanting to do. And as you may know, especially if you listen to my bonus episodes about the spiritual lessons I learned in France, I got to go. I spent time in the countryside in a little town called Briere. I went to Nice, south of France, Monaco, and then ended the trip in Paris. And that trip was quite literally everything I had ever hoped for. It was just amazing, and I want to go there again. So there's that. Another thing I have on my vision board is a picture of a girl in like a workout outfit taking a mirror selfie. And that was to represent wanting to stay committed to my fitness journey. I believe it was 2022. I started like working out regularly, multiple times a week, kind of having a workout schedule. And I wanted to stick with that in 2024. And I'm happy to say that I did. Uh, it really helped for me getting ClassPass because I was able to plan my classes a week in advance because a lot of the time they would fill up quickly. So I would plan it a week in advance. And that kind of helped me stick to my fitness routine and make sure that I kept it as a priority. For the first half of the year, I taught yoga twice a week. And then once my original studio closed, then I moved to teaching once a week. And then besides that, I would go to the gym twice a week and then take a Pilates, bar, HIIT, or yoga class. What's that math? The other 4 days? Yes. And then have 1 or 2 days for rest. And this routine was really something that worked for me in 2024. And it's definitely something I will be planning on incorporating in 2025, just because I've also noticed, if you're listening to this, you're a girl, but even the boys who are listening to this, it can be hard, especially with society standards and body image issues and all that. And I think we all struggle with that from time to time. But really this year, I did not have an issue with that at all. I wasn't paying attention to like how much I weighed or anything like that because my consistent workout routine did make me feel strong and it did make me feel in shape. So yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention travel plans for 2025. I am planning on going to Italy. I used to go every year growing up from like, I think age like 1 to 18, because my mom's whole family lives there. So I am planning on seeing them again. And I'm really excited because it'll have been 10 years since I've seen them. So really excited for that. Another picture I had on my vision board was a group of women like ecstatic dancing by a fire. And that was really supposed to represent just womanhood in general, friendships with girls, just kind of tuning into the wild woman energy. And happy to say that was also accomplished this year. really early on, actually, in January of 2024, I went to a day retreat here in Phoenix with one of my girlfriends, and there was ecstatic dancing there, and I definitely did that. And in general, spent a lot of time with girlfriends. I thought 2023 I spent a lot of time with my girlfriends, but I definitely did so as well in 2024. And I'll get into this later, but just being surrounded by that feminine energy really is positive for my mental health, my spiritual growth, and just something I want to continue to call in. I also have a picture of a girl, and she's holding up a bunch of dollar bills, and it's like an Instagram tag, and it's tagged me, and then the money is tagged success. So basically, that was supposed to represent financial abundance in 2024, and I definitely would say I achieved that. I got a new job in April, and it was making it's making more than I was making at my prior job. So I definitely do feel like I called in financial abundance into 2024. Definitely want to bring that energy into 2025. I'm moving into a new apartment in a few days and the rent's more expensive. So, if your girl could get a nice little raise, that would be nice. It's expensive to live out here. So, I also have a picture of a book because I wanted to continue making reading a priority. Last year, let me pull up my Goodreads. This will take me a second. But for those who don't know me, I am an avid reader. When I had my breakup, it was more so a way for escapism, but now it's just something I just love doing. So in 2023, I read 60 books, and so far, I probably can get maybe one or two more books in for the rest of this month. So far, I'm at 73 books this year. So that's very exciting. Read more than I did last year. I kind of wasn't expecting that, but somehow we managed. We made it through. And I will continue to keep reading because it's a good way to just bond with others, because I feel like reading is more of a thing now for other people. I've always been a reader, but I think more people are getting inspired to read. So I want to continue to do that. I have a picture also on this vision board of a girl meditating. And guys, I was doing so well with this. I was doing so well with this. And I was like, yes, I'm sitting on my cushion. I got my incense. I'm have my meditation routine. I'm not going to even front the last 3 months. I would say since October. Yeah, to be honest, since October, I have been hella slacking with that. My meditation practice is a little poopy, and I just, we're going to try again. We're going to try again next year. We're going to try to actually make it a priority. My biggest issue, I think, is that when my routine divulges, and in the later half of this year, my life has changed a little bit, which I'll get into. But the second my routine changes, whether I'm traveling or just plans that I have, my meditation practice gets lost, and I do feel this sense of guilt, and I know that that's not how you're supposed to feel about meditation. And, the universe and spirit still gives me signs to let me know that they're still there. I'm still connected, even though my meditation hasn't been good. The angel numbers I've been seeing is literally just insane. I just see them every day, all the time, and it's really great. But I do feel closer to just my highest self when I am meditating, and closer to my spirit guides. I actually just read a really good book a couple weeks ago called Signs. I unfortunately don't have the author right now, but I'll make sure to put it in the episode notes. And it was just a book talking about all the different ways the universe and your spirit guides communicate with you and support you throughout your journey. And it was really great. And I stopped reading. I finished a chapter and I immediately went to meditate because I just felt so connected. But yeah, that energy, I'm going to need to call that in a little bit more. So if you struggled with your meditation practice this year as well, and that was a goal for you, I see you, I feel you. We'll try again next year. Another picture I had on my vision board was just the sign that said, "Universe, show me how good it gets." And that was basically, I put that on my board because I wanted it to be something that helped remind me, like, that my manifestations could come true and the power of it. And I'm going to leave that there because I'm going to get into that when I talk about the lessons I learned this year. I also have a picture of like two people's fingers, shadows, like, reaching for each other. And that was supposed to represent a relationship. So I had my breakup in May of 2023, and I was calling in a relationship this year with someone that I, am mentally, physically, and emotionally like attracted to and connected to. And as of November, that has happened for me. I'm honestly surprised because I was like, oh, this isn't the year. This may not be the time that I like meet my next person, but it did happen. So, yeah, we're in the early dating stages, but we're happy and we're here. So, that came true on my vision board. The next picture I have is a girl in the kitchen cooking. And while this has ebbed and flowed, I will say overall, I do think I did a good job with cooking this year. I got a recipe book from one of my friends, well, Emily, who you guys met, the dietitian who was on this pod. And she gave me a vegan recipe book. And I've actually made a few things out of there. I definitely need to make more. But overall, I would say I probably did more cooking this year than last year, or equal amount. Next year, definitely want that to increase even more. I just feel like, you get in a relationship and then like you guys just both get takeout so often, and how it goes. Definitely want to try and change that a little bit for 2025. And my last picture I have is a girl with a face mask on holding a glass of wine. Her hair's in a towel wrap, and that was just supposed to represent self-care. I would say overall, I don't think I practice self-care as much as I would have liked to this year. My yoga practice is kind of like waned a little bit. I haven't really been focusing on much as me as the student, because I'm just so focused on just teaching. And I have found that I've fallen into a trap again of basically anytime I have free time that could be spent for self-care, the second someone like asks me to make plans, I'm like, yeah, we can do this day, and I immediately like fill that free spot. That's probably happened. That's been happening since like September, I would say. So, next year I definitely want to practice more self-care by practicing just spending more time alone with myself, and maybe doing more like baths. I actually don't know if I have a bathtub in this new place, but more things like that, reading in bed with a candle, like just simple little things that can kind of get me back on track with that. All right, so that was my 2024 vision board. I'm probably not going to make my 2025 one until I move to my next apartment because I just cannot think about that right now. So stay tuned for that. But moving on here to the overall lessons that I learned from this year. Um, and I just have really three main ones that I want to talk about, but they are interconnected. So the first lesson I learned is to protect your peace, or protect my peace. Protecting your peace is so important, and I think it's something that we hear a lot, but maybe it's one of those things that's like easier said than done. And some ways that I protected my peace this year were through letting go of friendships, relationships that no longer served me. And if you are a people pleaser or an extrovert or just anything in that realm, letting go of friendships is really difficult. I talked about this a little bit in my green thumb, like how people are like plants episode, but that was something I did have to do this year. And I had to realize that, even though there's going to be discomfort at first from creating that boundary and ending that friendship, that in the end, it will serve my overall peace. I think it's really important to look at the people in your life, look at the behaviors you're doing, look at, your job or just your environment in general, and evaluate it to see are there any like major areas of stress here? Are there any patterns of negative energy or just feelings I get from this person, environment, you know, job, whatever it is? And to make that tough decision to let it go, because it is better for your peace in the long run. Another thing, really, like, I am not happy about the election results. That was something that, was sad, and I mourned, you know, that whole thing the day that the election results were announced. But for now, I'm definitely removing myself from any political news, any political conversations, because I'm choosing to protect my peace in this moment. Because at the end of the day, I did my part by voting, and unfortunately, there's nothing else I can do right now about the fact of the matter that Trump is going to be our president. So I'm just choosing to really focus on the here and the now in my life and what it is that I can control to kind of avoid just that negative feeling, especially since the holidays are coming up. Another thing that I learned, and I kind of mentioned this a bit earlier, is that manifestation is powerful. Manifesting works. And I knew this because when I did my career change and moved into this apartment I'm in now, like, I manifested all of that. I, put all of that into play. So I knew that it worked, but I just am like continue to be amazed at how it continues to work for me. Like, the place that I'm moving into, I definitely worked on manifesting that. Like, I was looking probably since like April. I was making that like a conscious manifestation that I was calling in during my meditations, and I got it. I was like, at one point, God, there's no way I can be in a 2-bed, 2-bath. Like, I'm not going to get my separate office space. But that did come into fruition. And the place that I'm moving into wasn't even on my list because I am a researcher. If you don't know, now you know. I just love researching things. Like, I'll fixate on something and then look it up for hours. So with the apartments, I was definitely doing a lot of research for that. But this place that I'm moving into wasn't even on my list. I just drove past it and was like, oh, I might as well like just pop in and see if they can give me a tour. And it worked out, and I'm having my separate office space. I'm living on the top floor. I'm having my own garage, and I'm living in an area that I want to be living in, and it just all worked out. So I'm really excited about that. I also this year was working on manifesting a conscious romantic relationship, I should say, and this was something I was like calling in, focusing on, and then focusing on other things like throughout the entire year. But as I just mentioned, this has manifested for me in November, and I'm excited to see, why the universe placed this person into my path. And obviously, there's no way of knowing how they'll fit into the path in the long run, but I'm just being very present right now and grateful that that manifestation did come into fruition. And then the last thing I manifested, or I'm sure I manifested other things, but one of my major ones was my job that I currently have. It's the perfect mix of what I wanted, both training and designing curriculum. And it's literally the perfect mix. I work from home quite often, and the pay was just like even more than I actually was manifesting, and more than I asked for in my interview. And that was just amazing. Like, I remember crying when I got the phone call, like telling my mom, because it was just, I just couldn't believe it. Like, not only did I ask the universe for this specific thing, but they gave me even more than that. And so, yeah, That was just a strong lesson I learned this year about the power of manifestation. It's something I want to continue to work on next year and kind of bring more into it to see maybe even the little things. Like I've noticed all these big manifestations come up, but I'm curious to see what, smaller things I could manifest. And then the last major lesson from 2024 that I'll talk about is to lean into what sets your soul on fire. I am like one of the things that makes me the happiest, that sets my soul on fire, is fostering and growing my relationships with those around me. And I really feel like I followed that this year. I traveled with friends. I spent a lot of quality time with my friendships. I talked to people. I had just so much good time with my guy friendships and my girl friendships, and I'm really grateful for that. I, connected more with people that I wasn't necessarily sure would be around for the long run, and I grew that. And that really set my soul on fire. So even though I was slacking kind of in the self-care department, it's because I was using that time to continue growing the relationships, which is something that makes me really happy. Another thing with leaning into what sets your soul on fire is to try the things that are calling you. I started this podcast. Like that was something that had been on my mind for at least over a year, I would say, that I was like playing around with this idea of starting a podcast. And in February 2024, that's when this podcast launched. So that's been something really beautiful to see. So grateful for all of you who continue to listen. Um, it's it's been a journey. It's been a journey for sure. And even just little things like I'm starting to write a book. I'm going in between these two ideas, but just I've always loved writing, and I was just getting pulls from the universe to just start writing. And so I've been doing that, not super consistently, but I'm honestly just leaning into these messages, these signs, just the calls that I get to follow what makes me happy. And that is a lesson that 2024 has taught me. And I think it's really helped me not be so afraid to try new things. So if you are feeling this, you're getting some intuitive pulls to create things or express yourself in some way, let this be your sign to go ahead and do that. Well, that's all that I have for you today, everyone. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this pod, be sure to share it with someone in your life. You never know who might need to hear it. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you soon.